Hi everyone! So this video is going to be all about cages and my 5 top tips for the perfect cage. For anyone who is going to be a new owner and perhaps you're doing your research on getting guinea pigs, or perhaps you're thinking about upgrading a current cage, I hope this video will be helpful. Actually, before I start, I am just going to talk about the actual cage itself. So before any bedding goes in, before any of the wonderful things that you've bought go in to make it fantastic, before all that, I'm just talking about the actual bare bones of the cage. This video is also going to answer some of the questions which I get asked quite often on a lot of my videos. So questions like where I got my materials for my CNC cage, how big my cage is, how much everything costs, and also what the recommended cage size is for say for 2 guinea pigs. So those kind of questions get asked quite often, and this video is hopefully going to answer all of those for you, so look out for those. So we'll get started. My first tip is throwing you in at the deep end. My first tip is to consider building a DIY cage. DIY cages are so much better than pet shop cages in many different ways. For a start, they are entirely customisable. You know, you can build them however size, shape you want. For CNC cages, which are the most popular kind of DIY cage, what I'll refer to a lot in this video, they are extendable, so you can, you know, add a top level, you can widen it out a bit more if you've got more space. If you get another guinea pig and you need to extend a bit, you know, you don't need to go out and buy a whole new cage and materials and everything. You can just add a bit on to what you've already got. If the thought of a CNC cage frightens you a bit and you're a bit daunted by it, then seriously don't be. I was worried when I first came to build my CNC cage, and I thought, how on earth am I going to do this? It's like building something. It's DIY, but it's really not difficult at all. And these days there's so much like help and advice out there on the internet. Quickly snapping to my CNC cage, I got the materials for it from B&Q. So the grids came from B&Q and they were about £20. For the correx, the plastic base, I got the 4mm thickness clear sheets from B&Q as well, so I got them from the same place, and they were £9 a sheet. But the biggest advantage of building your own cage in comparison to a pet shop kind of cage is that you save yourself a lot of money. You get so much more space for your money, which is really fantastic. So if I kind of, for example, added up the £20 for the grids and for the cost of each sheet, I worked out it came to about £75 I paid for my cage, which actually is comparable to what you pay in pet shop for cages. Cages are expensive, and just as a kind of little test, I had a look at Pets at Home, had a look at the cages, and kind of to see how big one would be compared to the £75 that I spent on the CNC cage. They did actually have one for £65, and that was the cheapest option, so only £10 less than I paid, and that was a cage recommended for 2 guinea pigs or a dwarf rabbit, and it was 95 centimetres long by 50 centimetres deep, which is really, I think I probably got about 4 or 5 times that floor space out of my CNC cage for only £10 more, and that's just an example of how CNC cages really do give you so much more space for your money. So that brings us nicely onto tip number 2, which is space. Again, as I said before, I get asked a lot, what is the recommended cage size for 2 guinea pigs, for example? And so as a new owner, or maybe you've owned guinea pigs before but you haven't owned them for a while, it can be kind of hard to guess how much space guinea pigs actually need. Actually, they do need a lot of space, and pet shop cages really don't provide enough space for them, especially when they're younger. But when they're older as well, you know, they'll run up and down, they'll popcorn all over the place. They really will make use of however much space you provide them with. So the bigger the cage, the better. So when I get asked this question of recommended cage sizes, I always refer people to the website guineapigcages.com. and on there they've got a page. It's called Your Guinea Pig's Home, and it has a lovely little table with a number of guinea pigs down the side and the recommended cage sizes. It's got the minimum and the preferred, and then the equivalent in like CNC grids. So for 2 guinea pigs, the preferred is actually 1 metre squared, so 100 centimetres by 100 centimetres, which instantly should ring alarm bells, because this cage which I looked at on Pets at Home measured in at 95 by 57, so it's just over half the recommended size for 2 guinea pigs, and it said that the cage was suitable for 2 guinea pigs, when in reality I think that size is too small for 2 guinea pigs, way too small. So tip number 4 is think about the height of the cage, and when you're thinking about the height, it's more about how the cage works for you as well as the guinea pigs. So you might want to think about things like how easy it is to clean, whether the guinea pigs are going to be safer away from other pets in the house perhaps, or maybe small children, that kind of thing. And also, if you have a cage at a higher level, it instantly provides you with loads of storage underneath for all your guinea pig stuff, which is a great help when you've not got that much storage, like me. So for a CNC cage, you can actually have them higher up. You've got to get yourself some more grids and build kind of a frame out of them for the base, which lots of people have done, and it works very well. But height is a good thing to think about when thinking about how easy it is to clean. If it's awkward for you to get down on the floor and clean them out every day, because they will need cleaning out every day, it might be easier to have them at a higher level. And also for kind of interacting with them and stuff. I know a lot of people, when they've upgraded the cage and they've brought it up to tabletop height, say, they've always mentioned that they find it a lot easier to, you know, interact with the guinea pigs and kind of bond with them better when they're higher up, which just shows how like little things can make a difference. So think about the height of the cage as well. Tip number 4 is thinking about the actual materials. If you are going down a DIY route, then you've got to make sure, if you're using any kind of plastics or woods or like glues or sealants, that kind of thing, you want to make sure that there's no nasty chemicals that might harm the guinea pigs if they ingest it by accident. But in general, materials for CNC cages are fine, and people don't have any problems with them. Material which is really cool and I hope to use in the future, I absolutely love it, is plexiglass. So you might have seen plexiglass featured in some new DIY cage videos, and it's basically clear plastic that you can attach as like the front panel of the cage, and it's just a fantastic way to make it so much easier to be able to see and interact with the guinea pigs, because there's no like bars or anything in the way. It just leads you a view straight inside their cage, and that's why I love it so much. It really makes the cage feel nice and modern as well, so I'd really like to use that at some point in the future, perhaps. And my final, number 5 tip is thinking about the position of the cage, which is a bit of a funny one, but I think, again, it's like little small things like this which can really affect how good the cage works for you and your guinea pigs. So position, I'm talking about things like which room of the house it is in, how much light it's getting, whether it's inside or outside. So I really love this room as a guinea pig room. I love the window, it provides them with so much more natural light than they had before, and I really think it makes a change, like, and they were noticeably more active and kind of wandering around and less just lounging about than they were before, when they didn't have as much natural light coming in. So a nice bright room which also gets a kind of moderate use. And by that I mean it's not like packed with people milling about every hour of the day. It's got its quiet periods, but then it has got times when people are in the room, and the guinea pigs can get used to people talking and you know, not become like so afraid of us. And of course then there's whether to have the cage outside or inside. And I kind of think, although I know everyone's situation is different, and in some ways guinea pigs being outside is better for them. I mean, they get the fresh air, it's more natural for them. They would have obviously lived outside if they were in the wild. But then again, I think that there's definite benefits to them being inside. So for example, one of the things that I worry about is if you're getting the guinea pigs for children, it's far easier for them to start to lose interest if they have to go outside to, you know, clean them and feed them and spend time with the guinea pigs, as opposed to if the cage was indoors. So I think they really benefit from getting more human interaction generally if they're inside. Of course, I don't want to offend anyone whose guinea pigs might live outside. I know people on YouTube have guinea pigs that live outside, and I'm sure they get plenty of human attention. So that was my 5 top tips. I hope you found them useful. So before I finish this video, I'm just going to take you over to the piggy's cage and we'll have a quick look at my cage. So here's an overview of the cage. As you can see, it is a CNC cage, so it ticks the box for a DIY cage. It is 2.5 grids by 5.5 grids, which is more than the recommended space needed for 3 piggies. 3 piggies is a 2 by 5, and then I've also got the loft, of course, which adds even more space on for them. So it's good in terms of space. Then we've also got materials. So they've got the standard CNC cage materials, which I've never had any problems with, so it's fine for that. And it also is in a nice position in a good, well-used room with a lot of natural light in here. So what's the one thing I would change about my cage? Well, there's a few things I'd like to change, but going on my 5 top tips, I think I'd really like to increase the height and have it more at my level, which will make it easier to clean out and also perhaps easier to interact with the pig. I am planning a cage upgrade for anyone who's interested. I would really like to do one of these modern kind of pig style cages with the plexiglass. We'll see, it might get round to it eventually, and of course there will be a video on that when I have upgraded their cage, so look out for that. So I think this is everything for this video. I hope you found it useful if you were looking and trying to find more information about cages for guinea pigs. Or if you're a subscriber, thank you for watching as always, and please comment, rate and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!